Hello to our digital family. Welcome back to our channel. It is a tribe called Dhillon Podcast. I'm Angie Dhillon.
And I'm Rose Dhillon.
And I'm Alvin Dhillon.
And before we get into our Win of the Week segment, I just want to ask you for a big favor or small favor, medium favor. Can I get you to kindly go and hit that subscribe button so we can grow our family a little bit bigger? And please check us out on all of our social channels. And if you're not following us, please go ahead and follow and support us any way that you can. We would love it. We've got a mental goal, internal goal to hit a certain growth by end of the year, and we would love and appreciate your support. So thank you. That is my PSA mic drop. Okay, we're going to get into we're going to go into our Win of the Week. Mine is heavy today. My heart is heavy today. I don't have a Win of the Week. I'm going to try and say it without getting choked up. I didn't get a chance to reflect even on a Win of the Week. So if I had to table a Win of the Week, I'm just grateful to be alive. And the reason I say that is beginning of this week, I found out that a colleague of mine, a friend of mine who I actually lost touch with, but she was a great friend and I still hold her in high regard, passed away and she lost her battle with cancer. She actually, it was quick, went into the hospital in June, found out in September that she passed away. So I just got the news a couple days ago. She's the same age as me, so that makes it even harder. And she's an individual that championed for women. And I'm going to, I didn't think this was going to be so hard talking about her, but
what's her name, Angie?
So her name is Kuljit Kayla. She was an amazing broadcaster here in the Lower Mainland in Vancouver, BC. And she was very instrumental when I got back into broadcasting radio. I was actually in a different area. I had started doing, I was on the Much Music VJ search at the time, and I got connected with her and she sent out all my press releases. She's like, we got to hit when the iron is hot. She got MAC Cosmetics to sponsor my makeup for when I was doing pageants. And just to have another South Asian woman support another South Asian woman, because first of all, broadcasting is a very cutthroat industry and it's like everyone for themselves. But with Kuljit, there was no cattiness. There was no jealousy. It was like, I'm going to elevate you and I'm going to motivate you. And, it was just that amazingness from her. And if you actually go and look at all of her posts on social media, so much love from her. There isn't one female that hasn't commented about how she was towards them. Like whether you are new in the industry, whether you are a veteran in the industry, she just always championed for women. And to have another South Asian woman, like I said, like championing for us and always rooting for you, that's a loss to all females. And if you identify as being a female, that's a big loss because the world just lost an amazing human being. So I just want to say, sometimes when we're on social media, we don't realize that, it's that element of I'm connected to this person, but reach out. And as we are growing on this podcast and on this journey, we have to grow and we have to reflect and take accountability. And Rose said something to me when I got this information that she had passed away, and I cried. And I like to say I'm pretty tough. Things don't, get me, but her loss got me because she's just, not only was she gorgeous, well-spoken, polished, refined, put together, a great ambassador for our South Asian culture, our heritage, for women, for aspiring women. Just, I can go on and talk about her. She just was such a beautiful soul, gone too soon. But my thing is because of my bullying, I have said this on a previous episode, I have trust issues with people. And I know, even when I worked with her at that time, that her intentions were always good. But because I have trust issues with people, I keep people at bay. Like, I don't let them get too close to me. And I never let Kuljit get too close to me because I've been burned in the past with female friends. And she had reached out through social a couple years ago because I wasn't really on social, but I had, changed my name for a little bit on my Insta account before I changed it back. And she reached out. I was like, hey, we got to go for coffee. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. Some of our connections on social, they're superficial, right? And now I'm never going to get that opportunity to just connect, pick her brain, see how she's doing, how she was thriving in that industry. And her brother said something when I was listening to the interview that he said, and he said that she's a trailblazer. And she was the individual when people told her, don't go into this industry, don't do that. She's like, I'm going to do it anyways. And I don't care what you have to say. Like, she went and traveled the world, the stories that she had, the connections that she made with people. And everyone all says this about her. It's the way she made you feel. She never made you feel less than. And Rose, you said something to me when I was talking to you. I said, Rose, I'm really, really sad. Because I never took her on her offer to connect with her. And then when you said this, I reflected back and you said, Ange, well, you have to understand, you didn't receive her friendship the way you should have, because you have your own issues from your bullying and it's hard for you to trust people. So you always keep people at bay. And when you said that to me, whoa, that was a big aha moment that I'm going to own here on our podcast. That, yeah, like, I didn't even realize to the magnitude of how my bullying has impacted my relationships as I've gotten older. Like, I lost out on getting to even know an even more beautiful human being. Yes, I knew her surface level, but I would like to think that I could have gone even more deeper and had even a beautiful friendship. But I denied that from myself because of my own trust issues and being afraid. And so what I learned is, like, I just have to start trusting people and taking people at face value, because I lost out on an amazing connection. And man, she's a badass. She went to so many cool places. Like, I could have tagged along with her. So
Been her plus one.
Yeah. So that's my piece. I don't want to go into more. I don't want this to be a Debbie Downer episode, but I just want all of us to reflect. Like, if you have a friend, you haven't connected with them and they've always championed for you or just championed for me, like, reach out to them. Reach out, because tomorrow is not guaranteed. Like, I had a message from her 3 years ago and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll connect with her, because I could see her on her social profile. It's active. And I could see that she posted something, I think a couple months ago. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll connect with her. And she's not here anymore. And it's my loss. It's the world's loss.
Well said, Ange. Sorry for your loss. Rest in peace, Kulji Kayla.
Rest in peace.
Well, yeah, rest in peace. And we will, as we embark on this journey, we are going to find a way to recognize this beautiful soul.
Well said.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, that we always regret or recognize someone's greatness when they're gone. We don't acknowledge it while they're here.
She had a lot of greatness. Yeah. Oh, take a breather. Okay. I'm going to shift it to you, Rose, for your
That's
win of
a
the
hard
week.
one after this, but I'm going to try to see if I can lift everyone's mood back up here. I have 2 wins. My first win is The Alchemist, which is, it's my favorite book. I go back to this every 5 years, and I was at a point right now where I was like, I need something. I can't read any more self-help books. I'm just my mind's like, all right, block. And I just need something to, like, take you away and just remind you that everything in your life is happening for a reason. The highs and the lows, the journey is all about self-discovery. And this book gives you that. And it's just a well put together book by Paulo Coelho, probably going to pronounce it wrong. So if you're looking for something that's just, I binged it in 3 days. I was just done. Like, it's amazing. And I highly recommend picking up this book. It just kind of gives you some connection back with the universe if you're struggling with that. So that's my first win.
It's a great book.
It's a great book. Yeah. And my second win is for sports fans. And I have a pretty cool day job where it's involved in technology. And so Lumen Field, which hosts Seattle Seahawks, I was there a few weeks ago. We installed some new technology and it was really just cool seeing it firsthand. So Amazon has a product called Amazon One, and it integrates with our technology. So when you walk in and you scan your, bottle of water, you can put your hand on this kind of it's like a little machine, and it picks up your palm, and the palm is then connected to your Amazon account. So you just check out. You don't even have to pull out your credit card. Yeah, you don't have to pull out your credit card. You don't have to do anything. It just scans through your hand and off you are. And so that is the future of technology. It's going to get even cooler. I know some people find it scary, but I geek out on this stuff. So when I was there, I was like, this is so cool. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. So that was my win.
Cool. Very cool. Do you remember when you used to struggle with one win of the week? Look at you, powwow. You got 2 now.
I had like 10 and I had to bring it down to 2.
Wow, that's amazing. I have a question for you regarding the biometric, that scanning. Like, we might have to eventually table this question, but is there some element of radiation that passes through people's because that's, we go through, airports, we go through x-ray scanning and that kind of stuff. So is there an element? Because I think people might hesitate to do that if there is that, that chance.
That's a good question. I'll have to find out, but it's really maybe like 4 seconds. You put your hand on there and it very quickly picks up.
Probably safe because they have to test the technology.
Yeah.
Before
And I think we're so mindful of that now moving forward because even the airports are getting rid of those kind of scanners too. So I think we should be
scanners, right?
Yeah.
I think the iris scanner is the one that I'm still around because if you think about even if there's no radiation, but there's something always checking your eye.
That's the next one.
I can see, but I can see that giving some problems to humans because if you think about when you have a brighter light hit your eye for a quick second, you get that little you're almost like foggy in the eyes for a little while.
Yeah, because that laser beam that scans your eye.
That would be so much easier because there's nothing actually going to be affecting your eye.
The iris scan is happening right now with a company called Clear. They do that at airports where they scan your eyes. Yeah,
I have that when I have to go through post security for my job. Sometimes to check something, I have the option of doing the thumbnail, fingerprint, or doing the iris scan. And sometimes when the thumbnail machine is not working, then I have to do the iris scan, and it always makes me nervous. And it's funny because it always says this to me: please open your eyes wider to scan. And I'm like, I can't make my eyes any bigger. They're so big, and you can't get a scan off me. Yeah, and then
we're like by default trained that something comes to your eye, you close it, right? It's like a safety mechanism.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and then a lot of times, and like after the 3rd try, I'm like that moron that can't figure it out, and then they'll be like, look at my pass, and they'll manually like, okay, you're good, let her go. Oh, so I'm like, I'm not going near those checkpoints anymore. Al, what is your win of the week?
My win's kind of interesting. I've kind of decided that I want to take a little break from the IT field. Just kind of like, I feel this every 4 or 5 years, I kind of change up the role, and I feel like it's a good way to learn new skills to add to my tool belt. So I had a good interview with a recruiter to looking to get back in the finance field. I've done some like a payroll accounting work before and I enjoyed it, but I guess maybe at that time I found it a little boring because I was a little younger. So I wanted things like fast paced, more moving. I've had my good run with the IT sector, but I feel like I want to go back to a little bit more process, procedures, things that I know that when I show up to work, this is what I'm doing and I can leave it at work and leave. With IT, it's like you come into work and it's like you're pulled in 30 different directions and you're fixing 5 different things at one time. And that's just the standard. That's the norm of the industry. And so it's like, I just need a little bit more uniformity in my role right now. And while I focus on this, I can put my energy toward the podcast and my comedy dreams. So I just said, okay, you know what? Let's look into the finance field. And another thing I found was when I was looking for work is that there were tons and tons of payroll jobs and they all pay really well. Oh. And I was like, I've done payroll before. I just don't have the certification. I was like, man, what have I been missing out? I was like, this field is like paying you well and it's pretty straightforward. Most of the work can be done anywhere too. Most of it's all digital now. So I had an interview with them and I'm going to be looking to transition to more finance work in the next month or 2.
Great. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And our father, who's an accountant, must be so happy that you're carrying on in his footsteps, right? Yeah.
There'll be a lot of write-ups coming.
That's amazing, Al. That's great. Okay. And same thing to our listeners and to our viewers. If you have a win of the week, share it with us. We would like to know. Today's content, it's confessional. That's all I'm going to say. The tribe is bearing it all. Yep. It's a confessional episode. And I actually wrote down what I think we're going to call this one here, because at some point, all of us, or maybe we still continue to struggle with this here, but it's confessions from an ex-shopaholic, Sugarholic, and workaholic. And maybe I shouldn't even say X, because I think we're still struggling with some of these things.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay, so I want to get right into it here. What do you guys think about this confessional that we're going to be bearing our souls out to our listeners and our viewers?
Like my therapist says to me, it's called a vulnerability hangover, where you release a lot and you feel like, whoa, what just happened? It's perfectly normal. So I'm pretty confident that after this, we're probably going to have a vulnerability hangover for having these confessions of things that we struggle with. But we do this so that you don't feel alone. If you're something you're struggling with, please know you're not alone. We all have some internal battle struggle that we fight through, sometimes daily, sometimes weekly.
Yeah. Good. That's a great one, Rose. And we're all human beings, right?
Yes.
And we here on this channel, we're all about growth, self-transformation and growing. And, when I look at some of the things, I'm like, have I improved in this aspect or have I not? But, we just got to own it, take accountability. And we just want to share some of our struggles so that, like Rose said, that you can connect and relate, that you're not alone in this here. Al, I'm going to go to you for this first question here. Can you share your personal journey of one of these things and what you struggle with? And which one is it?
Some people may call it a struggle. I call it a treat. But I do have, I would say, a slight to major addiction with sugar. Still working on that one. But I go in my waves, unfortunately. It's weird. Like, there's been times where it's like I just had so much sugar that I'm like, oh, I don't want to see this for a little while. And then there's times where it's like I've had so much sugar that I can't stop this gravy train. I got to keep going. So I woke up today with like a sugar hangover, but it didn't stop me. I just took 2 more Advil and said I'm going to do it again tonight because Mama didn't raise a quitter. That's right. And I could have had more sugar yesterday, but unfortunately I made the mistake of taking out the little cheesecake that I had left over because I don't like eating it cold. So I put it out about an hour before I'm going to eat and I left it on the main table. Bad decision. So as soon as I started doing the dishes, Rose got up and was like, oh, I'm going to eat this cheesecake. And I didn't have time to go and try to grab it in her hands and eat it because I had my gloves on while I do the dishes. So she ate it, took it away. I was like,
you're
cool.
welcome.
I was like, that's cool. I was like, I got backup chocolate. So I had to get my backup chocolate, ate that. But yeah, once I start, it's just like the taste of, I don't know if you've ever tried purebred. Anyone that lives in Vancouver, this is a new thing that Ange had discovered. Yeah. It's like the right amount of sweetness. So you could just keep going because you're like, oh, this is not that sweet. Just keep going and going. And then about an hour later, you're like, whoa, it's a lot of sugar.
Anyone that's going to come to visit Vancouver, if you live in Vancouver, check out purebred. It is delicious.
That blackberry cheesecake was fire. So I had a doctor's appointment the other day in Vancouver. So I was like, okay, I'm like,
that's what we're
I'm
Where
5
did
minutes
this
away.
cheesecake from?
It's on West Broadway. So I went 5 minutes away from it.
Wait.
So I went there and picked up some more treats. But I bought just enough to tie us over till today because we're going to have more dessert.
Excuse me. This is where the minute you said cheesecake, because I know my brother really well. He and I are the same people. He's just a male version of me. That's why we butt heads. I know that. Rose doesn't butt head with us as much because she's a middle child, easygoing. Like Rose is like, oh, I'll flow this way. I'll go that way.
She folds like a house of cards.
Al and I are very similar personality. So when you just said cheesecake right now, my antenna went off. I'm like, I know you didn't go get no cheap cheesecake. Yeah. I'm like, where was this from?
But the funny thing is, just like me, like I've now after yesterday, like I reached my limit of that flavor. So now I was like, okay, I'm good. I need to take a break for a month because if I bring it in again, I'm gonna be tired of that purebred stuff. So I just gotta transfer that addiction out of a new type of sugar. So today's gonna be a new flavor.
Okay. Well, I'm kind of butthurt now because I know I went to purebred last week and I bought you a whole bunch of treats.
No, you did not. You bought me 1 scone and 1 cheesecake, okay?
But I still bought.
For anyone that likes sugar, that's like giving me like crumbs. It's like, hey man, let's go have a few drinks. But yeah, I bought a 6-pack for 6 of us. So that's 1 beer each.
I still bought a box of treats because there was other people at the house. But you went to purebred and you didn't even tell me. You should have told me.
Exactly. Why would I tell you? Because then you would have wanted some and told me to save some for you. I didn't even bring any from Mom, guys. The problem was that the jar has to be out on the counter, so someone was going to see it.
This is why I only come here once a month.
Clearly, I think the viewers and listeners are identifying which 2 are the Sugarholics here.
I have a problem with it, I know, but you know what? There's only so many wins I can have, so I was like, you know what? I'll let that one slide. I did 1 year without booze, and I'm continuing with that, but I gotta have something. So
okay, yeah. What did you get from purebred? I want to know.
The blackberry cheesecake, a new sour cherry cheesecake, which was
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, and I bought a caramel almond crisp cake, which was actually good, but Mom and Dad ate that one.
Okay, and what about the butter tart? I
didn't get any of that this time. I tried it because there's so many options that I wanted to get a few so I can go back each time and try something new.
Yeah, doesn't that butter tart look ridiculously gross?
Disgusting.
But it's so good.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. What's the longest stretch, Alvin, that you've gone without consuming any sugar?
Well, there's always sugar in other things we eat, but not having all those sugary treats, probably like 2 weeks.
Oh, dang.
That's pretty good.
And it was the worst 2 weeks of my life.
Yeah. Okay. So we've established, can you say that you're not an ex-sugarholic, you are a current.
I am a current, active, proud sugarholic.
You're not a recovering sugarholic.
Hey, my grandpa was a sugarcane farmer, so I must keep the torch and keep inflamed and keep it going.
Okay, got it. Rose, which one of these 3 items that I listed? I listed Sugarholic, Workaholic, and Shopaholic. Which one do you identify with the most? And why?
Okay, so I will say I've participated in all of them because I have a very obsessive personality. So I was definitely a sugarholic. I'd say in my 20s, 100%. I was addicted to sugar, and then in my early 30s became a shopaholic. Do you remember when I went through my phase of the dresses, the shopping, and everything? And now, currently, I had to realize I am a workaholic. If I'm not working my day job, then I'm working this podcast.
Or you're working us.
Or you're working you guys, or working some other passion project that I've discovered. I am constantly working. I don't know if it's a bad thing yet. I'm not sure if it's a bad thing yet. It makes me happy. And I don't crave sugar when I'm working a lot because it tires me out or gives me a headache. So I avoid that. And I no longer am a shopaholic because nothing really that I buy ever makes me that excited anymore, except for like creating content makes me extremely happy. It gives me my dopamine hit and increases my serotonin levels. Doing the podcast, learning about technology. Yeah, I'd say I'm a workaholic. And you know what's really wild is when I was 30, I was dating someone who was 40. And I remember saying to him, like, you're like a workaholic. Like all you did. And he was like, man, you're young. You'll get there. And I was like, no, I won't. And then I was like, 10 years later.
You feel that purpose, right? It gives you purpose.
I'm him. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I can confirm I am a sugarholic.
Yeah, that's right.
Play is gonna play. Yep. Okay.
Sugar ain't gonna eat itself.
Exactly. I am getting better at limiting my sugar intake. So I'm very proud of that. I actually set out intentions this year to really reduce it. I'm finding that as we're getting older, especially for women, sugar causes a lot of inflammation. I was just finding I wasn't able to sleep properly. And the minute I cut out the sugar, I'm like, oh my God, my whole world has changed. But like, it's like, like a bad boyfriend that you just can't let go sometimes. Like they're still lingering on in the background. And then they win you over with like, okay, here's some flowers. I'm really sorry. And then you're like, oh, okay, we're back together again. Like it's a dance.
That's tough.
But I mean, so it's just, I'm going to have to make sugar in the background of like, like that, the boyfriend that's just in the background as friends now, the friend zone, where now it's like, I'll occasionally see you or visit you. Okay. So that's my take with sugar. And since cutting out sugar, I've noticed that my waistline has
lost.
And when I look back at some of because we started taping last year in December for January. And when I look back at some of our podcasts, I'm like, oh my God, my cheeks were so chubby. And like, I just look chubby on camera. And not that I intentionally wanted to lose weight. I just wanted to be healthy for myself. And the minute I cut sugar and I just, embodied a more healthier lifestyle, I literally dropped like 13 to 14 pounds.
Good for you.
So I feel lighter. And so Sugar and I, we have a relationship, but I am going to be limiting that relationship and setting boundaries with it. So Sugar and I have had a talk. Sugar's not very happy about this conversation that I'm setting boundaries with Sugar. But I just said that I have to do it because the boundaries are in place for me, not for Sugar.
Yeah.
In my 30s, man, was I a shopaholic. And I know exactly why I was a shopaholic, because I was filling a void because I wasn't happy in my personal life. And so buying things made me happy. And man, I realized when I had to move, that's when I realized, I was like, Jesus Christ, Ange, what did you buy? And I'm going to tell you this also. And I never got into debt for any of my purchases. I'm super proud of that. And I'll tell you why. At a really young age, I started to do day trading and stock trading. And I introduced you to that.
Yeah, I didn't do well on that.
Okay. So I stayed with it. And I would find stocks and I would invest even just a couple $100 and that stock would blow up. So all of my purchases were basically from my proceeds from my stock profit. So I never really used my own savings. I was, I'd like to say, wise enough to know that I didn't dip into my savings to make those purchases. But holy Hannah, did I have a lot of stuff. That's when I realized, like, this is not sustainable. You can't numb and buy things and think that material things are going to make you happy, because you're not. So I had my bout with being a shopaholic. I'm glad that that's behind me. Now, as Al says, when I go to make a purchase, I really think hard, like, do I need this? Is it a want, or is it a desire? Is it a necessity, or like, what is it? So if I don't really have a burning desire to have this, if I can rent it, then sure. But I'm really now more mindful of my purchases.
Yeah, I realized you're a shopaholic, and realized how it affects when people say when other people's addictions affect other people. I realized when it affected me is when you said, I need help moving all this stuff into a storage unit. And I figured in my head, I didn't know what it was. I just thought it's her furniture, extra, it has to be moved to the. And as we go to move stuff, I was like, why is everything brand new in box? I was like, are you going to sell this? Like, it's a collectible? Everything. You had the weirdest stuff, like Elmo dolls, all this weird stuff, like multiple air fryers, multiple ovens, like the clothing with tags and stuff on it, all bagged and sealed, like you were gonna like sell it at some sort of market. And it was just an entire storage unit filled with brand new things. 2 types of vacuums, just strange things like handbags galore, teddy bears, life-size teddy bears, stuff that's bigger than an average human being. It was like a 8-foot tall teddy bear. It took 2 people like carrying that thing in their mouth, and then you're like, oh, I have to bag it so it doesn't get dust on it. Who has a bag that's 10 feet tall by 6 feet wide? Those things are called tarps. Those aren't bags. People use that to cover up RVs.
Oh my gosh. So
weird.
This confession clearly is confessional, as you can tell. I'm owning my true story. He is right on all fronts.
And how long did it take you getting rid of all that stuff after he forced you? It took you almost 2 years selling those things on Facebook.
No, I'll tell you this. I discovered Let Go and a bunch of other apps when I moved into I went from a house to a townhouse. And mind you, the townhouse is an excellent size because when I brought all this stuff, I actually had to take a step back and look at all my stuff. And when you're alone, and there's no one else around you, that's when you're like, how did I get myself into this mess? And it took me, I'm not going to lie, up till about, I'd say, the first 2 years of moving into my townhouse, I went hard. I got rid of a lot of stuff. And up till about 2 years ago, I was still selling stuff to the point where I'm really proud that I got rid of a lot of things. But he is right. Alvin is right. I had Elmo. I had a life-size teddy bear. Like, what is a 40-year-old woman doing with a life-size teddy bear? Like, do I look like I'm like Ted from that? What's that movie? Ted. I'm Ted.
Yeah.
I'm Teddy.
At least that bear was cool. This thing didn't do anything.
Yeah, I'm Teddy. I'm going to call it Teddy. Like, I have a no 40-year-old woman needs a life-size giant teddy bear. That's what little kids need.
It wasn't even life-size. It was like Shaq-size teddy bear. Like,
it was
freakishly huge. And I just wonder, like, what you were saying to yourself when you looked in the mirror and it's like, I have a brand new Tickle Me Elmo in the box.
That's when the TMX Tickle Me Elmo was like a big craze. My intention was to sell it, but it was so cute. Like you hit, I was like, he starts to tickle and he does that little dance.
It didn't even do much.
He did, he danced.
It couldn't move around.
No, you hit the thing and then he would tickle, and so I kept it because I thought it was going to be a luxury item.
But
those
that's
things.
how your addiction affected other people's lives, because we were in charge of moving and hauling.
I remember that move. I was like, this is exhausting.
I just thought, I was like, I can't believe you're paying $300 a month for storage for goods that are unopened. It's like,
correction, $275. Okay. Get it right. If you're gonna like shame me, get it right. Get the dollar.
I'm getting $5 just thinking about I'm getting PTSD now. I was like, oh man.
I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna own it.
So now I see it. I don't think I was ever a shopaholic to your level. You were definitely.
I think there's levels of shopaholic.
I would say I was like a 3 out of 10. You were a 9 out of 10.
So there's levels of shopaholicism.
Yep.
I'm coining a new term.
You were kind of like /shopaholic/hoarder, because you bought the stuff, didn't use it, and you just kept it brand new in box. Remember, magically after like 3 years later, you just pull out on like Christmas Day this gigantic grill, and we're like, where did this come from? Like, oh yeah, so I had it brand new in box, so it was a gift to myself.
Yeah,
Use it one day.
That is true. Every year she has a magical gift that come out and you're like, oh, it's been sitting in my house for 2 years. If I have something and it's in a box, I have to open it. I have to use it. I know. Can't. Yeah.
But I'm also the way like with my white teas, though. It's weird. Like, because I go through them quite often. I buy them, like, let's say 5-6 packs of it, and then I save 2 or 3 packs. So once I ran through these t-shirts, I was like, oh, I feel like something new. I get to open it.
So that's different because you need them. It's like my mascara. I know my mascara. I can't use it after a few months. So when they go on sale, I buy like 4 or 5 of them because it's so cheap to do it then. And I keep them because I know I'll need them in a few months.
I have 3 boxes of white t-shirts that I haven't opened yet. I was like, I'm going to save that for Christmas time.
See, are we done with the Angie shaming now?
That was fun.
Okay. Anyhow, I'm going to own it. It's right. It's all right. But like I said, I had to do the work. I had to do why am I purchasing these things? What void am I filling? What's going on here? You got to dig deeper. And when you dig deeper, sometimes you don't like why you were doing those things, but there's always an underlying issue. So once I figured out like, you know, that this is not healthy, you're numbing something, you're not happy on this aspect of your life, like, and you're thinking that a purchase is awesome. It's that high. You got it. And now it's like, now what? Now what? So I will own that 100%. Another one that I'm going to own is being a workaholic. I am still a workaholic. I think I will always be a workaholic because that is all I know.
Yep.
And it's my parents' fault.
Yep.
My parents put us to work, not Alvin, because he's the boy, the token one. They put us to work when we were 7 years old. Like when Sebastian Maniscalco says those comedy bits.
Yeah.
I can relate to him because our parents put us to work since we were 7 years old. They had their own businesses. We always worked in their businesses. Free labor, child labor, whatever labor. So that's all I know is I know to...
it's a safe place.
Yeah. And it's also because I've never wanted to rely on anyone to take care of me. It's also an independence thing.
Yeah.
I say this to women. I always champion for women. And I always say this is my motto to like anyone and everyone that I see, even to the younger generation. I don't care who your mom is. I mean, I don't care what family empire you come with, what your wealth is, who your father is, who your boyfriend is, who your husband is, or any of that stuff. 1 minute you could have all that wealth and 1 minute it could be gone. So women, young girls, ladies, you have to know how to take care of yourself and make a dollar. So there is a certain amount of self-empowerment and that feeling of, making your own dollar and doing something for yourself. It's that level of independence that comes when you make your own money. So for me, I've always been, I don't ever want to rely on anyone to take care of me. So that has always been my mindset. And I don't really know where I learned that from. I just learned it from a really young age and I instill those values in you. And I always said to you, Rose.
So you can buy your own stuff and hoard it in your house.
Yeah. And you don't have to answer to anyone.
Nobody can say anything.
And you don't have to answer to anyone.
Unless you ask them to help you move that
That's
shit.
the best part is you don't have to answer to anyone. That part I will say I love.
When you want to buy something, you don't have to answer to anyone. Say, hey, do I have an allowance? Can I buy this? Please, please, pretty please. No, you just go buy yourself because it's your money coming out of your bank account.
Yep.
That's what I like that. Independent women problems.
Yes. So those are my confessions. I own everything I said. I stand by my truth. That's it. So let's go back to you, Al. How have these addictive behaviors impacted your mental and physical well-being?
Oh, it's like sometimes it's like a roller coaster ride because the amount of sugar I eat, and then the next day you're like, oh my God, why did I do this to myself? And then I never crave sugar during the day. It's weird. I don't want to have it in the day, but as soon as I've had dinner, after that, the floodgates open. And it's like, usually you just want a little bit of sugar. So you have like a chocolate bar and after that, you're like, you feel the high. And it's just something weird. Like the taste buds are like, okay, I want a little bit more, just a little bit more. And then a little bit more, and a little bit more. And then like 2 hours later, you realize, holy cow, how much sugar have I eaten? Started with a chocolate bar, then I had some chips and pop, and then back to some 5-cent candies and back again. I'm like, what am I doing to myself? And I'm like, that's all right. We'll do it again tomorrow.
Well, Carrie and Rose, what about you? How does it affect your psyche?
Yeah, I think that the workaholic, like this past weekend, I was saying to you guys after I go taping this, I'm going home. I'm not traveling for 2 weeks. And it's like, I need to slow down. Like I met a girl on the plane and I was telling her like what the last month of my life was like. She's like, you did all that in a month? And I was like, yeah. She's like, I do all that in like 9 months. I'm like, oh, and that's when I kind of realized like, holy moly, like I pack way too much in, whether it's the day job or the night job. And I just need to learn to slow down because I'm not sleeping as well. And I think I'm on that borderline of burnout, so I need to slow down. Mm-hmm. Definitely is affecting.
I tell you all the time, you gotta slow down. You're high energy.
She's a road runner. She's that road runner. Like me, is a road runner. Like me. She's that's that. Me. She just go. Yeah. One of these days, you're gonna be like the road runner. You're smack into something.
Say that. Don't say that.
And that's when you're gonna be like, slow down.
Yeah, I know. No, my body's talking to me right now about. I'm looking forward to the next 2 weeks of not traveling, working out every day. Getting to sleeping pattern a little bit better because I'm not sleeping very well and taking care of myself a little bit better. Good. That's my next 14 days. It's actually like, I just have the day job and the podcast. There's no plane rides. That's a whole nother ball game, right? Like getting to the airport, getting on the flight, getting to the hotel, all of that takes a big toll.
Then being on the plane and then going into a different time zone and then it messes up your whole circadian
and then being in a hotel,
right?
like it's just, people don't realize you don't sleep well in new settings too and all that adds up. So, yep.
or be like Al, take your pillow everywhere you go, anywhere you go. In the
This
world.
guy can sleep anywhere and everywhere. I'm not like
takes his
him.
I like to
pillow.
consider it a skill. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
always
takes his
sack my
pillow.
bag with my
Skill
pillow.
too.
But that's why I take a larger bag because the first thing that goes in is my pillow, and I have to sacrifice some drawers or some pants with it. That gets sacrificed.
Have you seen this guy when he travels? His pillow is always there.
I've traveled
Neck
with him,
pillow, proper full-size pillow. And have you ever noticed
And he
when we
just
travel,
sleeps everywhere.
someone will steal my shit? Be like, oh, can I borrow your neck pillow? No, player, I bought this for my neck, not yours.
Yep.
Okay, well, I'll tell you. Here's to try to close this off as we made our confessions, and we all put ourselves under some label, some form of labeling here.
We sure did.
But
Out
here's
of my label.
here's the thing. To our listeners and our viewers, some of you may have been able to connect with some of this content, and the reason that we brought this to light is because some of us, or majority of us, are in cruise control and we're not awake, right? We're just going through the motions of life. When I had my awakening, I can only speak for myself. You guys can touch about this afterwards. When you have that level awakening, and they always say, like, what actually is awakening? Awakening is that aha, like the euphoria, when you start to realize that me as an individual, like my soul should just be happy on its own. Like my soul really doesn't need a new pair of jeans. My soul doesn't really need a new pair of runners or a new something that we're always masking, because the essence is just our being should be fulfilling enough for us to be happy. We shouldn't have to go to all these external sources. So for me, when my awakening started to come, that's when I really started to reflect and start to realize, like, what am I doing and why am I buying these things, and what am I numbing and what am I not dealing with and what am I running away from and just parking or compartmentalizing, because we're all so good at that. When I started to really just hone in on, like, getting to the bottom and the root cause of my purchases, whether it's Sugarholic, Workaholic, Shopaholic, that's when I was like, I am substituting stuff to try and fill a void that I don't know what. And maybe I still don't know what it is, but I'm determined to find out. And what I've realized is now these things no longer have a hook or control me anymore. I actually have the power back to say, I don't really need this sweater. I don't really need this purchase. So for me, there's a sense of relief that now comes that as I'm doing the work and I'm unlayering and figuring things out, I got my power back to, like, I don't really need to buy a new thing of the season. Like, what I have is enough. And I think that's what it boils down to, knowing that you as an individual, you're just enough. That's my take
That's
on
great,
it.
Ange. I don't have anything to add to that. That was well said. Really well said. Yeah.
After you both all shame me here?
No. I think their viewers really appreciate that in honesty and that level of vulnerability. So thank you.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I got to own it. And as we say, every time we come in, we sit down here and we're here week by week. We're telling you, we are pouring out our heart. We are
Our soul.
We're our soul. We're learning out loud, and we hope.
Messing up out loud.
Well,
Yeah.
every single person on this planet has some form of trauma, and how we deal with it and what we use as our vice to cope with it is up to the person. My thing is sugar and weed. Yours is, like, we used to be more shopping, still is kind of sugar.
Yeah.
Rose's work, and everybody has something, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one's perfect. We're all just trying to figure out how do we cope with it, how do we get better. But along that journey, you're still like, well, okay, this is kind of keeping me like a balance. So I'm going to continue this until I can figure out what's going on. Because I always ask myself, like, why am I eating so much sugar? It's like, obviously I'm trying to numb something I'm dealing with. But when you take one bite of something good, because I'm a foodie, it tastes so good. You're like, why am I going to take one bite here? I should be having a good 10 bites of this because it's so good. Some people, sugar's not a big thing, but the bakeries you have in our area, you take one bite of that, you're hooked. It's like a new drug. You're like, man, like, I need to have that cookie again. Every person I've ever introduced that Just Cakes with that cookie, that kind of,
Jeez, I hate you guys for that.
It changed my life, probably for the worse or good. We don't know, but I have to have that now regularly.
Yeah, we actually are going to have the owner of Just Cakes in the next couple of months.
I bet you she's putting some crack in that food.
Yeah.
It's so addictive.
I really hope when she comes on set, she brings us chocolate chip cookies.
Knowing us, we'll probably have already had them the night before.
That's true.
Wink, wink, Ravina. When you watch this episode, hint, hint, your chocolate chip cookies are amazing. Balls. And actually, everything there is amazing.
Yes.
Even the chocolate Java brownie,
everything.
the eggless red velvet
just
cupcake.
Talking about it, give me PTSD. I'm still on withdrawals from those cupcakes.
Okay, so like I said, I every week we come here and we're just being vulnerable. We're opening ourselves up for criticism and for judgment, and we don't hold any of that against us. We just want, if us being vulnerable and opening up to you helps you in your journey of self-transformation, then we'll take it. But we collectively like to say that we have a judgment-free zone. So we hope that you are implementing a judgment-free zone when you're tuning in and listening to us, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So mic drop. We're going to close out. We're going to be back next week. The tribe is super excited to have all of you because like I said, the vibe, your vibe attracts your tribe. And we're super excited that we are attracting so many of you to engage with us, talk to us, share your content, DM us. Very excited. Please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We can't wait to connect with you next week. And thank you all so much for growing our digital community and our family. We are, by the time this is going to air, we're 10 months into the podcast, and man, we're having a hoot. We're having so much fun, and we're learning so much about the three of us. Even though we're thick as thieves, there's things that I didn't even know about these guys that I'm actually learning back on an episode that I go back and play. So just want to send you guys all love and light. So much love. Thank you for your love and support. Until next week, it is your favorite trio sibling signing off. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.
Bye-bye.
And for those Sugarholics out there, leave us a comment or DM us with your guys' favorite treat, and then maybe we'll try it out too. Take care.